my name's James Holding and I'm the Operations Manager at FarmLink Research. We recently had a successful field walk through our pasture variety trial that was funded by the Future Drought Fund as part of their Resilient Pasture project. We established this trial site in early 2022 with input from local producers and seed reps. We included a range of different varieties of lucerne, clover and perennial grasses, as well as some pasture mixtures.
So I'm Richard Hayes, I'm a researcher at New South Wales DPI at Wagga, and I'm here at the FarmLink Research Station at Temora looking at the pasture trial that they've got in the ground for the Drought Hub Resilient Pastures project. So a trial like this, it's got 54 pasture species and cultivars. It's an excellent opportunity, a rare opportunity actually for farmers to see what pastures are available, what grows well in the Temora environment, and what might be able to add value to their production system. We don't get a lot of opportunity to look at pastures these days, so this is one of those rare chances that people can come have a look at how pastures perform in the local environment.
Yeah, it's probably here in these sort of mixed farming areas, it's probably great opportunities for farmers to come and see what's happening in pasture development over the last probably 15 to 20 years, because they're probably a pretty cropping dominated region across the last 25-30 years in this area, and there's a lot more interest in livestock and pastures, and I think certainly getting more legume back into our farming systems. All our cropping systems are running down nitrogen as well as our pasture systems in the recent good years. I think it's probably more understanding the environments they work in and what particular species are suited to their soil types, particularly whether they're light soils or heavy soils, and their system, their farming system and their livestock systems, and try and get a balance of feed supply across the year to meet their production targets. Certainly these trials have got a lot of varieties, but on a day like this I don't think the varieties are that important. I think it's understanding which species fit into their system, and then the variety is going to be the last decision you're making, your pasture selection choice.
So one of the primary objectives one of the primary reasons of having mixtures, sowing mixtures of pasture species, is for the animal health benefits. So almost any species that you grow can cause problems for animal health. So whether it's growing lucerne by itself or growing phalaris by itself or subclover, it can lead to animal health problems because livestock haven't evolved to eat a single species diet. Okay, so one of the primary management considerations or tactics to get around this is to sow mixtures of multiple species. So we put, phalaris and subclover together. The livestock have the choice of eating either or forage, and subsequently that reduces the risk of metabolic disorders and death that can sometimes arise. So mixtures can be really powerful in managing animal health, but the challenge of course is getting the mixtures to survive and persist over the long period, because we might sow many different species, but very quickly we may end up with only one or two species. So that brings us to mixtures. How do we formulate our mixtures? What are the considerations that we have? Look, there's no one answer because it's going to be different in different environments and different production systems. But as a general principle, our mixtures need to be made up of species that are suited and adapted to our environment. So the individual species have got to be able to persist. And the mixtures have got to be formulated with the end product in mind. So in other words, what is it that we're hoping to achieve out of this pasture? Are we going to be able to manage the mixture so that multiple components of the multiple species can actually survive? So traditionally, what we've done is we've traditionally sown a shotgun mix. So this is where we get all sorts of species, seed of all sorts of species. We throw them together and we just see what survives. Now that's not an approach that we recommend taking now for a couple of reasons. One reason is in the shotgun mix, you might have species that aren't going to persist. So in many of the environments out here, so we're here at Temora, ryegrass is not going to persist. So why would we put ryegrass in the mixture if it's not going to persist? And not only that, if we put ryegrass in the mixture, then the ryegrass is going to establish quite quickly and limit the establishment of those other species like the phalaris or the subclover or whatever else it is that we're wanting to survive here. The ryegrass is actually going to outcompete that in year one. So what we end up with, if we've got, say, a ryegrass in our mixture here at Temora, is a lot of ryegrass in year one and then a lot of bare ground after that, and not a lot of the other species that we want to persist. So a better approach than a shotgun mixture is just a targeted mixture, where if we want, say, for example, phalaris and subclover, we sow phalaris and subclover and we don't include ryegrass in the mix. That way we get a better chance of getting a more robust and more resilient mixture for this environment, and we don't have the waste and the competition from other things that aren't going to persist. Yeah, so the key message from today, I think, is to get farmers to think about what they sow, what pasture species they sow. Often we sow pastures in a mixture, so there's multiple species, multiple cultivars. So to think about what species and cultivars are going to add value to their business, why they're putting it in their mix, and what they hope to achieve from it.